Not fair. I bent down and tried to make another snowball, but the stuff was melting as fast as it fell and was starting to turn to rain. I looked up at the sky, soft and grey as the belly of a turtle dove. Well, that was snow, I said, licking the last of it off my lips. Haven't you ever seen it before?
No, I lived in Athens. It never snowed there. Iskander saw snow when he was a child in Macedonia. He was always lording it over me. It made it sound so wonderful.
His voice was wistful.
I never thought it would look like ashes.
I was startled. Ashes? I looked at the snow differently now. The snowflakes, fat and gentle as feathers, did look like wood ash. I smiled. The first time I saw snow, I thought it was bits of paper. I was sitting downstairs, and I fancied the maid was throwing torn newspaper out of the upstairs window. I rushed to see, but nobody was there. It gave me a shock. I must have been only 4 years old, but I remember it clearly.
There you go again with your strange stories,
Plexus teased.
I suppose I'll ask you what a newspaper is, and you'll say, I can't tell you, and I'll spend another day longing for death.
I gave a shocked laugh. You don't really believe in the prophecy, do you? The oracle said I'd answer your questions on your deathbed, but did you ever stop to think that perhaps you'll be disappointed?
No, and I have a list somewhere, a list of things I'm going to ask you, so you'd better be prepared.
Well, a newspaper is like papyrus with all the daily events written on it. A journal.
Like the one Wonsikrite's writing.
He wiped the last bits of snow off his face and pulled his cloak tighter around his shoulders. I don't know. Is he writing one?
He's sending all the latest news to Athens.
I didn't realise that. I frowned. Wonsikrite had arrived a few weeks ago, as puffed up with self-importance as a ruffled chicken. He and Nearchus were always coming into our tent in the evenings. I had wondered why Wonsikrite asked so many questions of my husband and wrote everything down on a parchment. I was used to the scribes and historians. I hadn't thought for 1 minute there would also be a journalist. I assumed he was just one of Nearchus's pals, I said. Nearchus was the admiral of my husband's navy.
Nearchus is flattered by him. The city of Athens has hired Wonsikrite to write about Iskander's conquests.
Plexus narrowed his eyes as he stared at the sky.
Snow is such flimsy, wet stuff, he said, sniffing. I can't believe Iskander made it sound so marvellous when we were young.
He called my husband Iskander, as did most people. In time, he would be known as Alexander the Great, but right now, he was simply Iskander, king of Macedonia, Greece, Egypt, and most of Persia. We were following him over the Hindu Kush mountains. The mountains were the Himalayas, and we were still on the lowest slopes. It was autumn, but winter was nipping at our heels, hurrying us along. We had hired guides to take us through the mountain passes because we'd been warned it would be difficult. Alexander marched at the head of his army. With 60,000 soldiers, it was a formidable fighting machine. It was also a city unto itself, full of men from different countries with different languages and customs, following Alexander like the tail trailing behind a comet. The army also had priests and whores, soldiers' wives and children, cooks, engineers, doctors, scribes, historians, diplomats, lawyers, botanists, astrologers, grooms, messengers, slaves, and, last of all, me. I was born 3,000 years in the future. I used to take a monorail to the city, and here I was, on foot, leading a pony. The city we were heading towards might have a gym, a courthouse, a bakery, a temple, a fountain, and then again.